I get it, at least to a certain extent. For example, when was the last time you saw a sommelier, winemaker, and overall wine and beverage expert in Air Jordans, sporting earrings in both of his ears, a Mickey Mouse watch, thick rimmed spectacles, a graphic t-shirt, and a baseball cap? The stereotype of a wine dude is a man who wears, at the very least, a tailored three-piece suit and wingtips with cufflinks and a tag heuer. That's not really how I roll, although the watch would be cool. There's another thing I guess I should mention. I also happen to be African American. According to Wine and Spirits, my skin tone alone makes me rare as a unicorn when it comes to working in the wine business. I'm mostly a lone presence in a profession once described in the media as so dominated by white people. What does that mean? Not much really, except for one thing. My perspective on what I do and the world that I work in is, in a word, unique. The way I came up in this business is very different from the way most other folks did. I hope the fact that I'm the exception to the norm is exactly the thing that brings you to the book you're listening to right now. I wrote this book for one key reason, and it's that I want to show people who love to drink that there's a different, and an even better way, to think about beer, wine, and spirits. For example, perhaps there's a way to think about drinking, and to discover what you like to drink. That doesn't involve anyone telling you what to do. Maybe instead, learning about wine and spirits could be a fun experience rather than a daunting one. Sounds good, right? So I think it's time to put away those same old musty wine guides, the ones stuffed with the same tired wine speak that describes fruit-forward flavors of wet horse blanket with notes of tobacco that regular people can't relate to, in favor of a more exciting and yet chill method. If that sounds good to you, then I'm your guy, and here's who I am. My first restaurant job was in a McDonald's. My first introduction to fine wine was on an episode of Frasier. The fact that I am where I am now, that I've been able to acquire so much knowledge of wine and spirits and so much experience working with it, making it, and teaching people about it, speaks to the fact that the universe of wine and spirits is not entirely impenetrable. In fact, far from it. That I'm still a lone wolf when it comes to people who work in the wine and beverage industry just speaks to the fact that we need new ways of teaching people about it. I'm passionate about helping people who love wine and want to learn more without feeling intimidated to do so. That's why an overhaul of dry, dense wine guides is in order, and I've felt this way from the time I was getting started as a sommelier in San Antonio, Texas. I was waiting tables at a steakhouse, trying to taste as much wine as I could to figure out its nuances of flavor and understand the way grapes from different regions are grown and all the rest of it. But for someone who hadn't grown up in a world with regular wine drinking or in a household with any kind of wine knowledge, the information was not easy to find, and it was even harder to access. What do you do when you want to know more about something? You try to read as much about it as you can, of course. I remember thinking to myself even then that there had to be not only a better, but, more important, a more enjoyable way to learn about wine and spirits than what was out there. Because I couldn't relate to the way in which wine education was performed in those days, I became determined to find my own path. All I could do then, of course, was just hope. Hope that I had what it took to learn about this exciting foreign world of wine, and hope that if I made it and became a wine world professional, that someday I'd be able to share the path I'd forged for myself with all kinds of other people, including the ones who happen to look a little more like me.